You know that feeling when you check your bank account and instead of closing the app in shock, you actually smile? Like when you stop worrying about whether you can buy that coffee or if buying groceries will mean eating ramen for the rest of the week. Wouldn't it be amazing if that happened more often? There is a specific amount of money where this change happens, and it's not what most people think. Most financial experts will say you need $1 million to feel rich, or that earning 6 figures is the magic number. But here's the thing they miss. There is a much smaller milestone that can completely change the way you feel about money. Hi, I'm Mike. I teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you want to take control of your money, subscribe now and hit like if this video helps you. Now, before we talk about why $20,000 is such a big deal, let me ask you something. When you think about becoming wealthy, what comes to mind? Maybe you imagine someone with a trust fund who never had to worry about money. Or maybe you think of someone who worked very hard for years, saving a little money at a time. But what if I told you there's a shortcut that most people never notice? The truth is, building wealth doesn't work the way most people think. Here's what really happens. There are certain money milestones that act like invisible barriers. Once you pass them, the rules change. 20,000 is the first major milestone that separates people who will build real wealth from people who will live paycheck to paycheck their whole lives. And the crazy part is, most people don't even know this milestone exists. This is the secret almost no one talks about. Think about it like this. If you've ever tried to push a big boulder up a hill, you know the hardest part is getting it started. You're straining, sweating, moving very slowly, and wondering if it's even possible. But once it starts moving, something amazing happens. The boulder rolls faster, and when you reach the top, it goes down the other side almost by itself. $20,000 is that turning point where your money finally starts moving easier. Imagine your money rolling downhill on its own. Everything before this feels like pushing uphill. Everything after feels like the hill is helping you. Sounds too good to be true, right? Wait until you hear what comes next. Here's the really interesting part, and it might surprise you. It's not just about the numbers. It's not just that you have more money to invest, or that your returns are bigger. The real change happens in your brain. When you don't have money saved, your brain is in what psychologists call survival mode. Every money decision comes from fear and worry. You take the first job you get, even if it's bad, because you can't be picky. You stay in jobs you hate because leaving feels too risky. You say yes to things you don't want to do because you need the money. Does this sound familiar? Most people live like this and don't even realize it. This isn't just being practical. When your brain is in survival mode, it can't think about growing your money or opportunities. It's like trying to plan a vacation while your house is on fire. Your brain is fully focused on immediate problems. No wonder it feels impossible to get ahead. But something amazing happens when you reach $20,000. Suddenly, your brain has space to think differently. Instead of asking, "How do I survive until the next paycheck?" you start asking, "How can I grow this money?" Instead of reacting to money problems, you start planning how to build wealth. This is the moment everything changes. Research from Vanguard shows that having just $2,000 saved for emergencies increases your financial well-being by 21%. $2,000. That's less than most people spend on a vacation or a fancy laptop. But that small safety net creates a big mental shift because it gets you out of survival mode. It's amazing how just a little money can make such a big difference. When you grow your emergency savings to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses, which for most people is about $20,000, your financial well-being increases even more. More importantly, you now have the freedom to think about building wealth, not just protecting what you have. This is where most people get stuck, but not you. Here's where the numbers get really exciting. Let's say you save $1,000 every month and earn 8% interest on your investments. Getting your first $20,000 takes about 19 months of saving and investing regularly. That's a year and a half of discipline, sacrifices, and patience. It's not easy, and most people give up along the way. But what if I told you it gets easier after this point? But here's the amazing part. Your second $20,000 doesn't take 19 months. It only takes about 17 months. Why? Because your first $20,000 is now making money alongside your monthly savings. This is the magic of compound interest starting to work for you. Think about that for a second. You did the same work, saved the same money, took the same risks. But because your first $20,000 is growing, you save 2 months of effort. That's compound interest starting to work. By the time you save your third $20,000, it takes even less time. Your money is doing more of the work while you put in the same effort. Imagine your money working harder for you while you keep doing the same thing. That's financial freedom in action. And when your portfolio gets really big, the growth becomes almost funny. Once you reach $400,000, you can make your next $20,000 in just 5 months. The same amount that took you almost 2 years the first time now comes automatically through your investments. Imagine making in 5 months what took you 2 years before. Sounds crazy, right? That first milestone feels impossible. But after that, every milestone gets easier. This is the moment most people never see coming. The real secret is much simpler and honestly, much more encouraging. It's just basic math working in your favor. When you invest $1,000 and it grows 10% in a year, you make $100. Take that same 10% growth and apply it to $10,000. And suddenly you're making $1,000 in profit from the same investment, same time, same risk. That's the power of scale, and it's available to anyone. This is why reaching $20,000 feels like such a big turning point. Before this, your investment returns feel almost unimportant because you are working with smaller amounts. When you have $20,000 invested, earning 8% per year, that's $1,600 coming into your account over a year without doing anything. Money you didn't earn at your job. Money that shows up because your existing money is working for you. Imagine money literally working for you while you sleep. The investment strategy isn't more complicated than what someone with $1,000 can use. You can buy the same index funds, use the same brokers, and follow the same rules. The only difference is the size. And that size turns small percentage gains into real financial progress. It's not magic, it's math. And it works. But here's the part most people completely miss, and it might be the most important point in this whole video. When you save $20,000, you've actually done something much more valuable than just putting money in a bank. You've changed the way your brain thinks and built the most important financial habit you will ever develop. This is the secret nobody tells you about. And this might sound like self-help nonsense, but stick with me, because this is where it gets very practical. Think about what it really takes to save $20,000 if you start from zero. Unless you make a lot of money or live for free at your parents' house, it takes serious discipline. You had to track every dollar you spent. You had to say no to things you wanted so you could save money instead. You had to resist spending your savings on whatever shiny object caught your eye that week. Sounds hard? That's because it is, but it's worth it. Most importantly, you had to do all this consistently for months or even years. Consistency is the real game changer here. And here's the kicker. You proved to yourself that you can control your money instead of letting it control you. You became the kind of person who can wait for bigger rewards when it really matters. That's not just a financial skill, that's a life skill. This is where true freedom begins. This change in your mindset is huge because it affects every financial decision you make going forward. Before you had $20,000 saved, buying a $4 coffee might have caused you to overthink whether you could afford it. After you hit $20,000, you don't worry about small things anymore because your priorities are clear. You've shown you can make big sacrifices when needed. Your small wins suddenly add up to big power. But there is another mental shift that happens at this level that most people don't talk about. You start seeing chances instead of only problems. Opportunities appear when you least expect them. When you live paycheck to paycheck, every surprise expense feels like a disaster. Your car breaks, your laptop dies, your rent goes up. These aren't opportunities. They are emergencies that ruin your month. But when you have $20,000 in the bank, these events feel like small annoyances at worst. Your car breaks? Annoying, but not the end of the world. Your laptop dies? Time to get a better one. Rent goes up? Maybe it's time to look for a better place or ask for a raise. Suddenly you're in control, not reacting. Even better, you start noticing opportunities that were always there but you couldn't use before. Your friend says they are starting a business and need investors. Before you'd think, interesting, and move on. Now, you can actually decide if it's worth putting $5,000 into it. You now have the power to say yes to opportunities that can change your life. A great deal pops up on a rental property that needs work. Before, you'd scroll past it on Zillow and maybe feel a little jealous. Now, you can check the numbers and see if it's a good investment. Your boss mentions a conference in another city that could help your career, but the company won't pay. Before, you'd make excuses about why you couldn't go. Now, you can see if it's worth spending the money yourself. Opportunities you ignored before now make sense. This is what rich people mean when they say, money goes to money. It's not some magical rule that the universe gives rewards to people who already have cash. It's that having money gives you choices, and choices create more chances to make money. Control your money, and your money starts controlling your life, in a good way. Here's something else that happens around the $20,000 mark that will make you rethink budgeting. You start caring less about small expenses and more about big ones. I know that sounds backwards, but hear me out. This is a mindset most people never notice until it's too late. When you're broke, you stress over every purchase. Should I buy the brand name cereal or the generic one? Should I spend $3 on coffee when I could make it at home? Should I buy premium gas or regular? These decisions use up mental energy because every dollar feels important. But when you have a solid financial foundation, you realize these tiny decisions don't matter much. The difference between spending $3 on coffee versus making it at home is maybe $1,000 per year if you go overboard. That's something, but it won't make or break your financial future. Stop sweating the small stuff and watch your focus shift to real wealth. What really matters are the big decisions: where you live, what car you drive, how much you save, and where you invest. These big choices can change your net worth by tens of thousands of dollars over time. So instead of worrying about whether to buy organic bananas, you focus on bigger things: lowering your housing costs, increasing your income, and making sure your investments are solid. Big moves beat small tweaks every time. This shift in focus feels incredibly freeing because it gives your brain space to think about decisions that really matter. You stop stressing over small things and start planning smartly to build wealth. Imagine thinking like the wealthy without needing to be wealthy yet. Now let's talk about what happens to your career when you reach this milestone. This is where things get really interesting. This part might change the way you see your job forever. Having $20,000 saved doesn't just change how you feel about money. It changes the game entirely, especially how you deal with work. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you are basically stuck in your current job. Your boss might be terrible. Your coworkers could be toxic. The work could be boring. But you can't leave because you need the next paycheck to survive. Sound familiar? You're not alone. This puts you in a very weak position. You can't ask for a raise because you're afraid of being fired. You can push back on unreasonable demands because you need the job more than they need you. You can't look for other opportunities because taking time off for interviews feels risky. You're trapped, and everyone knows it. It's a cage made of money stress. But $20,000 changes everything. Suddenly, you have what I call walking away money. You could quit tomorrow and survive for months while you find something better. This doesn't mean being reckless or burning bridges, but it means negotiating from a position of strength instead of desperation. Imagine walking into your boss's office knowing you're untouchable. This mental shift affects every part of your career. You start asking for the raise you deserve because the worst they can say is no, and you'll be fine either way. You push back on unreasonable requests because you're not afraid of the consequences. You explore new opportunities because you can take some risks. Your whole career perspective changes overnight. Here's what's really crazy. Often, you don't even have to use your walking away money. Just having it changes how you act at work. You become more confident, more assertive, and more willing to take on challenging projects. And when you show up differently, people notice. Suddenly, you get better assignments, more recognition, and yes, more money. It's like unlocking a hidden power you didn't know you had. It's like having a secret superpower that you hope you never need. But just knowing it's there changes everything about how you operate. And the best part is, the more confident and successful you become at work, the faster you build wealth, which gives you even more options and confidence. It's a positive loop that keeps getting stronger over time. Confidence feeds wealth, and wealth feeds confidence. But here's where most people mess up, and I see it all the time. They hit $20,000, feel that mental shift, and then immediately spend it on something silly. Maybe they buy a new car because they've been disciplined, or take an expensive vacation because they feel they deserve it, or use it as a down payment on a house they can't really afford. Don't fall into this trap. It's the biggest mistake you can make. That $20,000 is not a reward for good behavior. It's the foundation of your financial future. It's the seed that can grow into generational wealth if you let it compound patiently. Think of it as planting a tree that will give you shade for decades. And that might make you laugh or cry depending on your situation. The average person spends more money on their car over their lifetime than it would take to become financially independent. Think about it. Car payments, insurance, maintenance, gas. Most people spend $600 to $800 a month just on transportation. Over 40 years, that's easily $400,000 or more just to get from point A to point B. Meanwhile, they complain that they can't save for retirement. It's shocking when you really do the math. It is like watching someone spend a fortune on a gym membership they never use while complaining they can afford healthy food. Here's the ridiculous part. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses about 20% of its value. So you're not just spending money, you're actively destroying wealth. Every flashy purchase has a hidden cost. Compare that to investing the same money in a diversified portfolio. Instead of watching your money disappear, you watch it grow. That's the real magic of smart choices. But I get it. Cars are emotional purchases. You want something reliable, something that looks good, something that makes you feel successful. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you understand what you're giving up. That car payment might make you feel rich, but it's actually keeping you poor. Your feelings can't replace strategy. This is where having $20,000 saved changes how you think about big purchases. Instead of asking, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" you ask, "What is this really costing me in lost opportunities?" Suddenly, driving a reliable used car doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like a smart choice that is helping your future freedom. And here's the irony. The person driving the flashy new car is probably stressed about money, while the person driving an older Honda is quietly building wealth and sleeping better at night. Peace of mind beats status every time. This new way of thinking affects every big financial decision: housing, education, vacations, hobbies. Everything is measured by opportunity cost, not in a way that ruins your life, but in a way that ensures your money goes to the things that really matter. Your money starts working smarter than you ever imagined. And here's something surprising. When you think this way, you realize you don't actually want half the stuff you thought you wanted. That bigger apartment? Extra space would be nice, but is it worth delaying financial freedom by 5 years? That expensive hobby? Fun, but there are probably cheaper ways to get the same enjoyment. Less really can be more. This isn't about being a miser who never enjoys life. It's about being intentional with your money instead of wasting it on things that don't matter. When you have clear financial goals and understand compound interest, it's easier to tell what you really want versus what you think you want. Clarity changes everything. Look, $20,000 isn't going to make you rich overnight, but it will completely change how you think about money and opportunities. It's the difference between surviving and thriving, between reacting to life and designing it. Start building that foundation today, because your future self is counting on the choices you make right now. Trust me, they'll thank you for it. Start now and watch your life transform. If you want to take control of your money and build real wealth, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video. Don't wait. Your future self is already cheering you on.